On your journey through your career, what was the lowest point of your trading career?
Uh, there are a couple of them. Two come to mind in particular. Um, I knew, maybe I shouldn't talk about this. Corbs, I can't express to you how all of that manifested itself May 17th on, when I woke up and almost died in the afternoon. The night before I had a great workout and I did a ultra fit class at Lifetime and I blew through it. I felt like a priest, prophet, and king. I could bench press 295 pounds 3 times, working my way up to 315, and that was my goal. And the next day, I was almost dead. So everybody was talking about me all around the floor. I lost 10 million, 20 million. I took the firm under. Go check the firm. PAX just blew you up. That kind of shit. That was the worst point. Lowest point of my life. That night, I listened to Johnny Cash's song "Hurt" while I was drinking scotch over and over and over and over again on repeat, thinking about how I've destroyed my life and my family's life. I will absolutely never forget this conversation. And I felt like, remember in the movie Rocky when Adrian was in a coma after giving birth to the baby, and Rocky quit training, and then she woke up. What do you want me to do? Win, and next thing you know, Rocky's running through fucking neighborhoods, beating the shit out of people. That's how I felt. I lost $1.5 million in about a minute and maybe 3-4 minutes. I ended up I started off the year down $1.5 million. This is all my own money. I ended up having the biggest year of my life that year. A hugely profitable year. I can't imagine, what that had been like had I been on the other side of that market. We all have to be on that path at all times. If you're not moving forward in this business, you are moving backwards. There's no standing still. There's no standing still.
This episode of the Speculators podcast is sponsored by Elite Trader Funding. Elite Trader Funding is an evaluation company that provides traders with the opportunity to earn income by trading in a simulated environment and never having to risk their own capital. All you have to do is pick an evaluation and follow the rules. Traders who pass the evaluation will keep 100% of the first $12,500 in profits and then 90% of all the profits after this. You can get started today with Elite Trader Funding by clicking the link in the description and using the code ETFCORBS for 40% off every evaluation that you want to do, except for the fast track. Those are already heavily discounted by default. Now, the most important thing about Elite Trader Funding is this is a company that you can trust. They're reputable, they're trusted by me, they're trusted by thousands of other traders, and they have a 4.5-star rating on Trustpilot. They have an active Discord community, they have incredible customer service, and they have the widest selection of evaluations on the market. So whatever style of trading you're into, they're going to have the perfect fit for you. They even have a swing trading option, which nobody else offers. We're gonna say more about this later in the episode, but a big thank you to Elite Trader Funding for sponsoring this episode. I'm very happy that you're here. Let's get started with today's episode.
Okay, everybody, welcome to a brand new episode where we're getting ready to hear from PAX. In this episode, we're talking about having a long and having a successful trading career. And the story of PAX, this is the stuff of movies. PAX started off at a very early age, working his way up from the dirt to be a trader in the NQ pit. Old school, no screens, the raw action just right there in the thick of it. And then transitioning into a long and successful career on the screens. And during the course of this journey, specifically a couple different times, reaching these insane heights of making incredible amounts of money and falling down to incredible lows of literally losing everything, and then picking himself back up and fighting to new heights once again. And we're hearing from a man who is far along in the journey, and he's lived and fought back to tell about it. And it's a beautiful story. You're going to take so much inspiration as you hear PAX just talking in a very raw and a very open way, a real story about a real trader and a real life experience. As I said, there's so much to draw from this about what it takes to have a long and successful trading career. And there's things to be excited about. There's emotions up and down as we had the course of this conversation. It was incredible to sit here and listen to Pax speak and to be able to pick his brain. I know you're going to get an incredible amount from this conversation. I'm very excited that you're here and that we're getting ready to jump into it. So let's kick back, let's relax, and let's enjoy this conversation that I had with Pax. Okay, as a starting point, I think it's very important to have clarity around what we're going after. And it's funny how the world is almost this game that we set up, and it's very easy to set up the rules in a way to where we lose, where we don't really know what we want, but we get very frustrated and confused when we don't get that thing. And talking about a long and successful trading career as just a starting and jumping off point, and in terms of clarity, in your opinion and from your perspective, what makes a good trading career?
Well, I think the obvious answer is that you make a lot more money than what you lose, right? But I said this today to a trader. I am not impressed with what somebody makes in a year or 5 years or 10 years. I see people on social media posting pictures of cars and private jets, and who cares? And houses, and bragging about this. The only true measure of success that you've got that the only true measure of success that matters is what you take with you when you are done trading for active income. Period. Mm-hmm. So that means what you need to do to achieve that and to maintain that and keep that. Well, that's a different story. And if that's what you're asking, I can go into that. But
Please.
You need to be a supremely self-confident person. Because this business is difficult. I can't imagine anything, obviously something where we don't have to put our lives on the line, coppers, firemen, people in the military, that's different. But I can't imagine something else that is so difficult to be a long-term profitable trader in. Only 1% to 3% of the people that trade are going to be and remain long-term profitable traders. 90% of us will lose our money. Out of the 10% that don't, most of us will break even. Only 1% to 3% of those and drift away and stop. And then even the ones that are slightly profitable for a year, 2 years, end up leaving anyway because it's not worth it. They're not making enough. They snatch defeat right out of the jaws of victory. So anyway, the point is that I think you need to be a supremely self-confident person. You need to be able to believe in yourself to the point that that you'll be able to make it through anything. No matter what happens, you'll figure out a way. You'll figure out a way. And you also need to be very driven in achieving those goals. You need to be able to define what those goals are, and then you need to be able to make a plan or a process to achieve those goals. A process by which to live your life. Waking up, making your bed, praying, meditating, breathing, stretching, working out, running, eating whole, healthy foods, not drinking, not doing drugs, taking care of yourself so that you are mentally clear, you are mentally aware, you are self-confident, you are self-assured, you are self-possessed, you are self-contained, so that then you're able to put yourself in a position to be able to capitalize on the opportunity that these markets present to us. Then it comes down to a trading process. We all need to have a trading methodology or trading process that fulfills three things: consistent, repeatable, and scalable. It's got to be consistent. It's got to be repeatable. It's got to be scalable. So many young traders are so concerned about stats. I could care less about my stats. I know that the majority of my trades are going to be scratches or break-even trades. Break-even trades or going to be small expenses, not losses, expenses. I already know that. I don't care that it's 80-20 or 70-30, whatever, because I know that when the market gives me moves like we've had the last few days, I'm going to truly capitalize on those. And those small expenses and those scratches is the price I need to pay. So my stats don't matter. What matters to me is how I'm going to increase my size when I find the momentum of the market. How I go big, go small, or not at all, to borrow a phrase from Credelli. How am I going to increase, decrease, and decide not to trade? And where am I going to do that? So I need to have a trading methodology or trading process that affords me that look into the market and affords me the ability to be consistent, repeat it, and scale it up, down, or not at all. Then I need to do it all the time and not get away from it. I do the same thing, and the traders in my group do the same thing 1,000 times out of 1,000. We don't veer from it. We leave money on the table. Sure, we leave money on the table. For example, today's opening range was in the S&P was 54.70 half to 54.73 quarter. We broke 38 points out of the opening range. I tweeted about the gap in the S&P today. We filled the gap down to 54.38, which was our downside target. So we caught this short from 70 half down to 54.38. We flattened. Then the market came back up. Nobody in my group bought that. We're not going to get long in a gap fill. You get long yesterday, you're going to get run over. We don't buy dips. We don't sell rallies. Do the same thing all the time. Do we leave money on the table? Yeah, we left 40 handles on the way back up. But now the market is going to give us an equidistant swing. I also tweeted about this a few hours ago. Above 54.73 quarter, we're going to trade up to the equidistant swing, 54.11. And we achieved that a few minutes ago when we started talking. Now we're looking for another 38 handles above that. So whatever, 55.11. So doing the same thing constantly to ensure that I protect myself at all times and still leave myself available to be able to see, hey, underneath here, I'm short and I'm going to remove my risk. And then when we get to the first target, I'm going to take profit. We go through it. I'm adding. I'm going to take profit at the next target. We go through that. I'm adding. We go through that. I'm adding again. So a $2,000 day becomes easily a 20, 30, 40, 50 plus $1,000 day when the market gives it to us. Yeah. Anyway, doing the same thing over and over and over again. Believing. Another thing too, holy smokes. I got a message from a guy who was up $500,000 up until this week. I think he was trading S&P, trading equities, maybe NASDAQ. He's even now. Gave back $500,000. Buying breaks and selling rallies is not a long-term plan. Unless you're doing it for short trades and you're keeping your stops very tight. But I see this constantly. I tweet about it all the time. If there is absolutely one thing that I've learned through my own trading, and with my own dough, my own money, and the people that I backed, the people that I cleared, and the people that I traded with, it's to not stand in front of a running freight train and saying, that's it. You're not going any higher. You're not going any lower. This is where I'm taking my stand. I will die on this hill. You might make money doing that 990 times out of 1,000. It's the last 10 times that it doesn't work that you're going to blow it all. Happens almost 100% of the time. There are exceptions to the rule. Well, you know what? I'm not the exception, and more than likely, neither are the people listening. Have a process and repeat the process all the time. And you can't catch every wiggle. You can't catch every move, and don't try to scalp the noise. Again, that might be something that works 990 times out of 1,000, but and know the difference between a wiggle, a move, and noise. For me in my methodology that I developed is that it was taught to me on the floor that I adapted to the screen, is to be short from the opening range and take them down to my targets, which is what we did, and then to stay out of the back and forth, not trade that back and forth. Leave it alone. Go work out, go play golf, go do something else other than sit there and, I can't tell you how many times in my life I've been up 5,000, for example, and then I think, well, I'll take this trade here, it's just a nice scalp. By the time the day's over, I'm up 2,000 and I've got 3,000 or 4,000 in commissions. When I was up $5,000 and I had 200 in commissions. So in the second phase of my career on the screens, I decided to be, to limit my trades. I don't take any more than 4 or 5 expenses in a day. If the opening range is choppy, I take 2 trades at it. And if we're not coming out of if I'm not, there's 2 different things: manageable and easy for me. Just little words that I've changed. Manageable is if I sell 70 halves and I scratch them, that's manageable. If I sell 70 halves and I pay for them at 66 half the pay line, that's easy. If it's not manageable or not easy, if I sell 70 halves at 71 bid, I'll do that twice and I'll leave it. I'll wait for us to get to 60 last 6.5. I'll wait for us to get to 50 for the first target, or the 32. I'm not going to sit there and go back and forth constantly and generate commissions for my firms, or my clearing firms. I'm not going to do that, my FCMs. So I don't know, Corbs, if that answered your question, if I just went off on a long ass tangent.
No, you definitely went off on a long ass tangent, but I'll tell you, I thank you for riffing on it, because inside of that, if it doesn't maybe feel like on yours, there was a lot there, and it was a great answer. I appreciate it. There's an old saying that says the rich get rich and the poor get poorer, and there's a lot of reasons for this dynamic. One of those is that people that are rich are in a position of strength, and it's easier to think longer term and just make good decisions. And when you're in a position of weakness, it's very hard to think long term, and we end up just making a lot of very short-sighted, bad decisions in the moment. And as traders, almost all of us, and yourself included, start from that position of weakness. Any advice on thinking long-term when it comes to our trading, and not putting so much emphasis on the very next trade and making poor decisions there, but being able to think, I want to do this for a career. I want to be in this 10 years from now, plus any advice on thinking long-term as a trader, even in a position of weakness?
The only thing I can think of is to literally take it one trade at a time. I don't worry about 5 years or 10 years down the road. I've already made generational money in my career, and I wound up driving Uber 10 years after that. So the only thing that I can control is what's in front of me. The only thing that I need to focus on is the next trade. I don't trade my opinion, and I don't trade my guesses. I like on the trading floor, I didn't have access to charts on the floor. I traded millions and millions and millions of NASDAQ futures contracts from my own account without the benefit of charts in front of me. If I wanted to print off a chart, I had to walk out of the pit. I had to stand in line at what we call the CQG machine, which is nothing but a computer, and then I had to print off different time frames. I would have my clerks do that and then run them back to me in the pit. So on the screens, it's the same thing. I do the same exact thing. My time for technical awareness is before we open and after we close. My time for reaction is during the day. I'm not a technical analyst. I'm a trader. So I need to have a plan to execute during the day. And then I take it literally one trade at a time. And then I take it one day at a time. So tomorrow will take care of itself. Right now, I need to worry about what's going on in front of me. I have nothing on. We had a great trade. Today was a good day. So on to the afternoon trade. See what I can get in the afternoon. Another something else that we do in our group is a late day trade. So do I focus then, or I decide to go work out, take the day easy? Those sorts of things. One trade at a time, I can build a career. Like building a business, right? You're gonna, building a building. You're going to do it one brick at a time, and if you take it one brick at a time, you can create something beautiful, something that'll last for generations. Trading is no different. It's no different. If I take each trade is a brick. If I put one brick on top of the other brick on top of the other brick, I can build a beautiful building that will be ornate and lovely and last for generations of my family, and I can be of some financial benefit to them.
For sure. Yeah. A good trading career, reverse engineered, is just made up of a bunch of days, and a bunch of days is just made up of a bunch of good trades. And being able to realize the importance of, when we make bad decisions on just one trade, these things just compound into, years. Very well said. When we are, especially starting off, I think that the P&L is always very important. It's one of our most important benchmarks. And would you agree that there are times, especially starting off, that the P&L is not always the best metric to help you understand if you are on the right path, if things are going well or not? And how would you look at this, as far as what else would you be looking at to understand that you are on a good path, you're doing all the right things? Maybe the P&L just at the short term is not being as reflective of that.
I'm a firm believer that every one of us should have their P&L off their screen. I don't think any of us should be trading our P&L. I think trading our P&L is a passport to poverty ultimately, or at the very least, I'll sell myself short by trading it. However, our P&L is ultimately the final arbiter as to whether or not we're successful, and that's difficult. But when you're starting out, if you break even your first year trading, you're ahead of the game. If you break even your second year trading, you might be onto something. If you break even your third year trading, congratulations, you can consider yourself a futures trader. So, and that's that. So you need to have at least a year. Each one of us need to have at least a year or 2 years worth of bills put aside, so that we don't have to worry about generating income from our trading. We can learn how to develop a trading methodology that's consistent, repeatable, and scalable, and that we can learn how to apply it constantly. And then we can see what in our own mindset is keeping us from trusting in that process, so that I can create the process around there, right? Because again, it's me battling me. So I need to have that in reserve, or I need to have another job outside of trading that will help me pay my bills. So when I started trading on in the pit in the NASDAQ, I was bartending at night, and my wife had her master's degree in marketing, and she was working at the Gap folding clothes. We had a brand new baby, lived up in the suburbs, and and that's how we paid our mortgage until I was able to start to make money. And I was at the right place at the right time. So when I started to make money, it was significant amounts of it. And then on the screen, in 2013, 2011, 2012, I blew up. 2013, when I started on the screens, was, I was driving, Uber in 2014, but I got some money back from MF Global. I put it into an account. We had a little to live on. And that gave me the freedom and the ability to be able to say, okay, now what works? How can I be positive at the end of the day? If I can make 100, that 100 or 200, if I can be positive, 100 or 200 will turn into 1,000 or 2,000. That 1,000 or 2,000 will be 20,000 and 100,000. And it has been all of those things. But it starts with being positive at the end of the day, if I can. Now, nobody's positive every day of the year. It's humanly impossible at this time. But I need to keep my hasn't been, it hasn't been impossible for a large part of my career where you can actually make money consistently all the time. That I think we need to focus more on the way that we live and our mindset, because my mind is going to be the determining factor as to whether or not I'm profitable. What I think, my relationship to money, what I think about success, how I feel about success, am I okay with it, imposter syndrome, all that other stuff that we read about and see. For me, a big struggle in my life was, who do I think I am? My dad I bought a Mercedes, my first Mercedes. Who do you think you are? It's always been that, who do I think I am in my mind? Starting a fund, who do you think you are starting a fund? Go back to doing what you're doing, little boy. Go trade the NASDAQ. You're good at that. It's that kind of shit that we have to deal with, that I do, and that we all do. Unless you're a quant and you're developing an HFT and your emotions and yourself don't come into it, which most of us are not. Give yourself time to be able to see how you react to everything, to be able to develop a process that will protect you 100% of the time and still give you the upside of the market. And then, work to put it all together. And it can take a couple of years. And if you're breaking even, I talked about this in the Twitter Spaces last week. There's 4 types of traders. There's the trader that's consistently losing money. That's the first category. The second category is the break-even trader. And I think that's where we spend, the majority of us spend most of our time as a break-even trader. And then the third category is the consistently profitable trader. And the second and third categories, the consistently breaking even and the consistently smallly profitable traders ultimately drift away. The fourth category of traders are the ultimately profitable traders, probably a better way of saying it, but the ultimately profitable way of trading or traders. So we have to work our way into learning how to be, a consistently profitable trader. And then, and that means that we learn how to manage our risk, and then we learn how to manage our profit. To be an ultimately profitable trader, we have to learn how to exploit our profit. Most traders are going to average in their losses. Great traders are going to average in their profit, and that's ultimately what's going to make it all worth it. And it takes time and effort and a lot of it to work your way into that category of traders.
Yeah. Hindsight being 2020, when you look back over the ups, the downs, the career you've had, are there things that come to mind that are obvious now that just caused you massive setbacks or slowed down your progress considerably?
Um, Fear, allowing fear to creep in, whatever kind of fear that would be. The
Hmm.
my I struggled with my self-image as a successful person, as a successful trader. I had to do a lot of emotional and spiritual work around that, and I think that's, when they talk about maturity, I think that's what they mean, and process wise, uh, when I lost a unbelievable amount of money is when I faded markets and when I averaged in losses. So I don't ever do that anymore, like ever. When I made a ton of money, I traded the breakouts, and both on the floor and on the screens, I traded the breakouts, and I protected myself at all levels. I think that now, at least maybe it's just the way that I see things. I think that younger traders now are more focused on their mental, physical health, more so than what we were when at any time in my career. You see more and more people talk about not drinking. I don't drink anymore. I work out all the time. I take care of myself. I'm on a spiritual quest. Uh, I,
Hmm.
I, I think that is an imperative. I believe it's an imperative. We absolutely need to be on a quest to every day be better, to do better, to be to borrow a cliche, to be the best possible version of ourselves. We all have to be on that path at all times. If you're not moving forward in this business, you are moving backwards. There's no standing still. There's no standing still. You got to constantly be progressing. If you're not, your weaknesses are in the background doing push-ups, getting stronger when you take your eye off of them. Now, look at me. I made $1 million this year. Woo!
Hmm.
That's the beginning part of your downfall. When you start to slide and you start to skate because you start to look at the things you've accomplished, and you're not building forward anymore. Again, your weaknesses are getting stronger. You better pay attention to them because they're going to pounce on you. Ego and hubris has destroyed more traders' careers than any other one thing. Ego and hubris. You make a little bit of money. That's all another issue. You start to make a little bit of money. You're consistently profitable. I tweet about this on Capital Preservation Friday. Just because you made money over the course of the week, of the month, of the quarter is no reason for you to start to size up. Sizing up is going to be a well thought out business decision, taking in all kinds of variety of factors and decisions, experience being one of them, and how you live being another. Then you decide to increase your size, or learn something I talk about all the time is learning how to increase your size without increasing your risk. If you can do that, then you can learn how to exploit your profit. So I don't know. It's a difficult question. We can't trade our P&L. We have to be focused on our process. We have to be focused on our plan. We have to execute our plan, and not so much worry about the results. I need to make trades based upon the price action as it is at that time, not based upon my past trades. So in other words, I need to make trades based upon what my plan is telling me and not my P&L. If I can do that, then I will put myself in a position to ultimately capitalize on market movement. If I don't do that, then I'm trading my guesses. I'm trading my opinions. I'm hoping, and hope is not a trade plan.
Looking back, you might have already touched on this as well, but if there is something else on your journey through your career, what was the lowest point of your trading career?
There are a couple of them. Two come to mind in particular. I knew, maybe I shouldn't talk about this.
Let's take a quick break from today's episode because I need to ask you a very important question. Have you ever been trading up against the hard right edge of the screen, but you're paralyzed by fear? The fear of losing money? Of course you have. We've all been there because losing your hard-earned money is a very scary thing. Thankfully, getting out there to trade and having to risk your own capital, this is a thing of the past. Thanks to today's video sponsor, Elite Trader Funding, you can now get out there, learn how to trade, start trading, and even make money without ever risking your own capital. Elite Trader Funding is an evaluation company that provides traders with the opportunity to earn income by trading in a simulated environment without ever risking their own money. All you have to do is pick an evaluation, follow the rules, and then you're going to earn an Elite Sim funded account. Here, you can start profiting and you will keep the first 100% of your $12,500 in profits and then 90% of all your profits after that. And it really doesn't matter what style of trading that you're into, Elite Trader Funding is going to have the perfect evaluation for you. Whether you prefer an end of day drawdown, a trailing drawdown, something more static, they have a fast track option. They even have an option for swing trading. This is something that nobody else offers. And above all, Elite Trader Funding is a company that you can trust. You don't have to take my word for it. They have a 4.5 star rating on Trustpilot, and they have verified paid out customers inside of their active Discord community. And they're paying out up to $500,000 each and every month to their clients. Now, Elite Trader Funding has an active Discord community, like I've already said, and they have top-notch customer service. So it really doesn't matter if you're brand new to the screens or if you're a seasoned pro, Elite Trader Funding is gonna help you every step of the way. Now, thanks to them sponsoring this episode, we have a really sweet deal for everybody. You can get started today, and using the promo code ETFCorbs, you're gonna get 40% off any evaluation that you'd like, except for the fast track. The fast tracks are already very affordable as they are. Now, I've also got some insider scoop that starting in early 2024, they're gonna be launching out some major changes that are heavily going to impact the trading experience. So there's no better time to get started than right now. You can click the link in the description, use the promo code ETFCorbs, get yourself a 40% discount. And once again, a big shout out to ETF, Elite Trader Funding, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the episode.
I knew that my marriage was over. My first marriage was over. After I had taken the last month of the year off in 2002, and came back and lost a couple $100,000 the first week, and most of that in one day. You know, I was down like 20 or 30,000 for the week, and I ended up trying to make that back and got killed. So I knew at the end of the day that was it for my marriage. That was it. You know, we were going to shoot when I go home and tell her what was going on. So that was the low point. That was bad. Fear. You know. Fear, you know, what's going to happen, you know, that kind of shit. The second, and probably more important one is the after MF Global failed in October of 11, I had lost a ton of money with it, or a ton of money disappeared, which eventually came back. So not lost, just misplaced for a year and a half, 2 years. But I decided that I was going to make that back. I've been in scarier situations. I've been in hairier situations. And so I started to empty out all kinds of different accounts, and I was pissing away 100,000, 20,000, fading shit, you know, just all kinds of dumb things. And I wasn't completely honest about that with my wife. I mean, she knew that things were tough and she knew that things were bad. But it culminated in I had 2 older kids from my first marriage, and my wife and I had 3 kids, and I had I still smoked. I'll never forget this. I still smoked at the time. This is in the winter of 12. We had like $20 on me, so I went and I bought a pack of cigarettes for $10, and then I put $10 of gas in the car because we had all 5 of the kids. We had food in the house. We were good, you know, for the weekend. No cash. What I didn't know is that we were debit $20 or $30 in our checking account. So my wife said, honey, we go buy some milk. You know, I've got empty pockets, no money for milk. So I've got 5 kids and no milk. So my wife and I were looking for nickels, quarters, and dimes in the car seat of my Mercedes and in the car seat of her brand new Suburban, and to buy milk. That was the worst point. Lowest point of my life. That night I listened to Johnny Cash's song Hurt while I was drinking scotch over and over and over and over again on repeat, thinking about how I've destroyed my life and, you know, and my family's life. I put so much stock into that money that I didn't see the beauty around me. I put so much stock into how it blew up because I was defining myself by my P&L, both in the first instance and in the second instance, both at the end of my marriage with my first wife, I was, I had nothing left. And so I was defining myself by how much money I made or lost. Same thing with my wife at that time. I was defining myself by my P&L. And when there was no P and nothing but L, well, what does that make me? If I lost my money, I'm a loser, which is why I don't use that. I don't use those terms, by the way. I don't say I win money. I don't win money. This isn't a game. This is a business. And I don't lose money because I'm not a loser. I spend money. Expenses, market expenses. I don't risk. I spend. So, those were terrible times. And the one thing that they have in common is that I define myself by my P&L. So listen to Johnny Cash's song "Hurt," and and all I'm thinking about is how I've created a big pile of shit for my family. I didn't see the beauty around it, and that's a shame.
In each of those times, hitting those maybe the lowest points, what was after rock bottom? What was the process look like of moving on? Did you kind of just take a little break? What was the next maybe like several weeks after those events?
Well, that my wife and I had, I sold. One of the things that an old timer told me on the floor was, you buy watches. So I had a bunch of expensive watches that I would sell and pawn when we needed it, and I had a bunch of other, I had gold and silver that I was able to get rid of. So we were able to live on that for a while. We sold our house. And I took that cash and we got some money back from MF Global, and that gave me the money to be able to it took me like a year and a half before I got that dough back. Most of it. I didn't get all of it back, but most of it. But when I started receiving it back, the question became, do I go to law school and become an attorney? So many of the guys on the floor had transitioned into something else. So I become a real estate agent. I've always wanted to affect people's lives and help them I spent 3.5 years studying to be a Catholic priest in the 90s. So, I can't be a priest now. I got 5 kids and I'm married and I'm divorced, remarried. So what do? Do I become a therapist? I thought about that. My wife and I went to Key Biscayne, like a couple of hillbillies. We took got 85,000 back. We took 60 of it, rented a house for the winter of 13. And I'd been trading a little bit, and my wife had worked on the floor for 18 years, and she came into the NASDAQ, and that's how we met. She said, I'll never forget it. She said to me, I believe in you, whether you believe in yourself or not. I know you, I see you.
Wow.
You were the king of the NASDAQ when I met you. Go make a living. Go do it. Go do it for us. Go do it. And if you can't do it for yourself, do it for me. Do it for the kids. We were sitting at the pool on Alumni, and the kids were running around, and that song "Home" by Philip Phillips was playing. I will absolutely never forget this conversation. And I felt like, remember in the movie Rocky when Adrian was in a coma after giving birth to the baby, and Rocky quit training, and then she woke up. What do you want me to do? Win, and next thing you know, Rocky's running through fucking neighborhoods, beating the shit out of people. That's how I felt. I felt like I can do anything because my wife was behind me, because she believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. So I just had to go and start to trade one lots again and to be positive at the end of the day. So it was a slow process. I will never make that kind of money. It was much easier. It was much easier to make bigger money for me on the floor. I traded big. The NASDAQ pit was 5-to-1 to minis, kind of like the minis are to the micros. So if I had 100 on, which I was 100, 200 lot trader. If I had 100 on, that was 200. If I had 100 on, that was 500 minis. I'd go to lunch with 100 on without a stop. It was crazy. So this is easier. This is easier on the body. It's easier on the mind. It's easier to be more consistent. It was easier to make it, a ton of money on the floor. I can see who is doing what. I had, I was long. The other big traders were long. Goldman and Witter and Bear are buying them. I knew who's short, and I know what funds are short, and I know where they're going to puke, and buy more, man. Just keep buying them. If I'm long 100 and Goldman is buying 500 at a time, well, I can get out of those. So why not buy more? You can't see that shit on the screens. It's not that easy.
Sure.
I don't have control over the price action. I had control over the price action. Then I was one of the traders that created it. I bought offers and I hit bids all day long and moved the market that way. And when the other traders and the paper got behind us, that created momentum. Now it's the algorithms. So it's another point too to make, Corbs, I think is it's not much different. Trading is not much different now than it is then. The way that we trade is different, but the way that the market moves isn't. A one-lot trader did not want to get, or one-lot or a five-lot trader did not want to get in my way. When I started to bid the market up or offer the market down, they're not gonna say, well, the market's not going any higher than 10, so I'll sell 5 at 10, and then, I got the market 40 handles higher than that in a minute and a half. The algorithms are the same. They're the ones that are moving the market now. I'm not going to get in its way. I'm the one-lot trader nowadays. I trade bigger than one lot, but I'm the small trader. I'm insignificant to the market. That's what I mean. I don't move it. The market doesn't care what I'm doing. The algos don't care. I just need to let them do the work for me and stay out of the way. So a small trader would be, if I bought 50 to even, and ONE and EMO and all the other big traders bought evens and 05s and 10s, well, they just have to find a one lot or a two lot to buy and sit back and let us do the work. Same thing with the algorithms now. The HFTs, there's thousands of them, and there's even more algorithms that are moving the market and generating the volume. Just let them do the work.
Looking back, do you have any regrets about becoming a trader?
No, I don't regret anything in my life. I have no regrets whatsoever. I don't regret one part of my life. I don't regret one experience. I don't regret one mistake.
Beautiful.
I have no regrets. I love my life. And everything, everything that I had gone through in my life has brought me to the place I am, and I have been at for a long time, and that's made it all worth it. And back in May, before we started, and I told you about the experience of almost dying, I was at peace with that, just because I'm surrounded by love. My wife and I have never been more in love. I tweet about her all the time. I've got 5 beautiful, healthy, moral, right-thinking children. I've got money in the bank, and I've got a beating heart, man. Everything that it took to get me here has been worth it to me.
Beautiful. Thinking about your trading, just covering some of the low points, what would you say was the highest point of your trading career?
I started off the year, this is ancient history. I started off the year January 3rd, 2001. Greenspan cut interest rates by a half a basis point on the very first trading day of the year. Think about that, and this is after the tech bubble burst in the NASDAQ. So the Fed was just trying to get the biggest jolt out of the market that they could. I happened to be the only big trader short. I lost $1.5 million in about a minute and maybe 3-4 minutes. I ended up I started off the year down $1.5 million. This is all my own money. I ended up having the biggest year of my life that year. A hugely profitable year. I can't imagine, what that had been like had I been on the other side of that market. You guys can look at a historical chart. We were trading around 2,000 in the NASDAQ. Broke underneath there, and I was short 24 big ones. We had, which is 120 minis or something. We had rallied from 2,000 up to 2,650, 650 points. That was 26%. Still the biggest rally in NASDAQ history. I puked at around 26, so I puked around the high of the day. I was bidding the market up 100, me and Susquehanna racing each other. 22 bid, 22 half bid, 23 even bid. I was bidding the market up 100 points and nothing was trading. 24 bid, 25 bid. I bought some. By the time we got up to 26, I was still short, I think 10, 11, something like that. So I had a lot of money in my account then. I was debit $650,000. They wouldn't let me trade the next day unless I was able to clear that up and put $1 million in my account. Now, in those days, you had to wire money, close out accounts. It would have taken a few days, and it was very important to me that I was in the pit the next day, because if the other traders smelled blood in the water, man, they were going to start picking at my bones. And everybody was talking about this is when you competed with other people. Now you compete with yourself. So everybody was talking about me all around the floor. I lost 10 million, 20 million. I took the firm under. Go check the firm. PAX just blew you up. That kind of shit. I went to a meeting with the partners in the firm and the bankers in New York, and my partners went to bat for me. He's good for it. He'll be okay. It's good. He's got to trade. So my integrity at that time was such that I was allowed to trade debit $650,000. I could trade nothing more than 5 lots, and if I lose money, I got to walk out. I made $150,000 that day trading 5 lots. The next day, another 150. So if that didn't happen, I would have. Oh, that was another thing. So at the high of the day was 26.5. I had 2 brokers trying to buy 100, buy 100, buy 100. And all I was thinking was, fuck, I'm down $1 million, 10 million. I don't know how much I'm down. No. I turned them down. One trader that did it made $8 million that day. So if I would have sold that, it would have been, if I would have sold that 200, it would have been, the next trade was 250 points lower. We traded down to 24 even. That would have been millions of dollars. Next day would have been, nobody would know my name had I not lost that $1.5 million that day. That would have been I don't know, 30, 40, $50 million year. Wow. As it was the biggest, and most important lesson that I had learned, and it was also my biggest year. The year 2000 hopefully I came close in 2000 in COVID, but hopefully I'll surpass that number. But that was a really big year, and it was the most important lesson I had ever learned, because I realized a compliance officer asked me if I was okay the next day. He just pointed at me, "You okay?" And tears welled up in my eyes. Said he would, I am okay. And fuck, man, the markets can't beat me. Holy shit, the market can't beat me. And I started to cry in the pit. There's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in the pit. But I did. I mean, I had tears coming out of my eyes. I had to walk out because I realized then the markets can't beat me. Only I can. Only I can beat me. The markets can't. So that was the best lesson I ever learned. And I went on a tear. I ended up killing it that year. It was great. That was great. The second one would be on the screens in the fourth quarter of 2018. The S&P broke from a major. If anybody follows me knows how I trade levels and stuff. 2944 was a huge level for me. That was the high in September. We broke from 2944 to 2812, back up to 2944. So I had a really big year going. The fourth quarter of 2018 was my first huge quarter. We broke from 2944 all the way down to 2316. The 200-week moving average was 2346. I flattened at 2346. I took all my shorts off there on Christmas Eve. It was Christmas Eve. My wife, who spent 18 years on the floor, she manages my trading accounts. She knew that we were having a huge quarter already. And that day when I flattened up, I pulled her over and I showed her my P&L, and both of us wept. Holy shit. Just wept. I ended up going down to Louis Vuitton. And that was the best fucking Christmas that my family has ever seen. That was great.
Beautiful. Yeah, sounds like it. You talked a little bit about having a lot of your identity tied to P&L, maybe especially early on. Was there ever a time specifically where you had a goal, something that you really materially were striving for? Anything that you reached in your trading, and then when you got there, you just felt empty, felt nothing?
Everything. Cars and houses and watches and things. The only thing that really that I don't, my wife and I live below our means. We have for a long time because I know how quickly things can turn. Mm-hmm. Vacations and experiences are something I don't regret. I don't regret anything, but that I value more. I value those experiences. So, I'd buy a bigger home and, another lake house or another, I had a condo in Arizona and a lake house in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and a big house in this, suburbs. And it just, I felt like I was going to my uncle's house. It didn't feel like it was, this is early on in my career. It didn't feel like it was mine. Second phase of my career on the screens, no matter how successful I am, the things that I value are more, spiritually based and esoteric based. My faith in God, the fact that I open my heart to be loved by Him, and that I'm able to love my family. That's what I value. Again, I almost died in May, and I wasn't thinking about the I don't know, the fucking Breitling or the Rolex that I want to buy. I actually am looking for a particular Rolex and I can't find it. But I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about my cars. I was in the process of buying an Audi S8. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about my kids. I asked for my wife, and they brought her in. I was thinking about my kids, and my life is uninsurable because of health issues that I've got, obviously. So do I have enough? Do I have enough to get my kids started? That's what I value more than a house or a car. I've got 5 kids. I've got 3 weddings to pay for, 3 daughters, 3 weddings to pay for. And, I'd like to be able to help them each buy a home and to get started and to leave, something left over to be able to support them no matter what happens in life. I don't know. Those are my goals. That's what I value. We live in a normal suburban home, and we drive nice cars, but vacations and love, man, that's all that, experiences and love and loving experiences. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
Leaving this world a better place. It's important. I think that people who follow me on Twitter can see that spirit come through. I want to see everybody. I want to see everybody make money. I want to see everybody be successful. I want to see everybody learn how to rid themselves of their ego and to live a faith-based life so that they put themselves in a position of being long-term profitable traders. That's what I want to see. And so that's what I try to do in Twitter. That's what I try to do with the traders in my group. 90% of traders fail. 90% of the traders in my group don't. I could not be more proud of that. We had a get together in Chicago where 25 traders showed up. They bought me a watch and they wrote me the most beautiful notes. My wife and my second son were sitting next to me, and I'm crying, man, in front of these people and their spouses. It was unbelievably beautiful. That's what I value. I'll continue to make money. I believe it. I'll continue to make money, and I'll always be good at this. To what degree or another, that's all going to be up to me and how I maximize it. The self-imposed limitations. I've limited myself just because of the way that I've grown up. I know that, but I'm going to try in the third phase of my career to not. Don't sell yourselves short, man. And, talking to whoever's listening to this, believe in yourself, and if you believe in yourself, find a way of trading and find a way of living and make it happen. God is good, man. This is the best business in the entire history of the world. Even the floor was unbelievable. This is great. This is beautiful. This is easier. This is better. I'm in my house. I'm wearing a pair of Nike shorts and a Viore shirt and flip-flops. Not flip-flops, slides. I had to differentiate because my kids, made me start wearing slides because Dad, flip-flops are not in anymore. No more cargo shorts and no more flip-flops. Anyway, the greatest business in the world just truly is. Take care of yourself doing it and enjoy. That's a whole nother thing. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy this journey. It's a journey, enjoy it. It just, even the setbacks, learn how to find the meaning in it. And things get better. Things just get easier.
Yeah. Looking on the journey that you've had as well, maybe things that aren't trading related. I know you talked about, you don't drink much for quite a while. You used to smoke certain things. Are there personal things that you gave up because of trading that you realized that these things are just holding you back, and maybe certain things you added in or certain things you eliminated that don't have particularly anything directly related to do to the screens, but just as this as a lifestyle, you've moved away from certain things or added certain things into your life?
Yeah, on the screens, I became in the last 10 years, I have become much more disciplined in my life. I've always considered myself kind of an undisciplined person, like lazy in that sense. So I've added things that I've added that are simple to control. I make a schedule every day and I keep it.
Mm.
I schedule. Another thing. All right, I get 8 hours of sleep minimum every single night. If I have to wake up at 8 o'clock, I'll go to bed at 4. If I have to wake up at 4, I'll go to bed at 8. If I have to wake up at 3, I'll go to bed at 7. I mean, I will get 8 hours of sleep constantly. I don't always sleep through the night. I'm 56 years old. I have to pee every 15 minutes, but I try. That's important. Get sleep. I see people trading at night. Trading at night is gambling. Don't trade at night. Trade during the day. Get 8 hours of sleep every day. If you're going to trade at night, then 8 hours of sleep during the day. Eat whole, healthy foods. Don't eat processed shit. You learn how to fuel your body. Your body will take care of you if you take care of it. Believe me. So important, especially when you get older. But don't blow it off when you're younger. How you fuel is how you're going to live. Alcohol is poison. It literally is poison. That's what creates the feeling. My son smoked pot. Maybe I shouldn't say that publicly, but I think the majority of young people coming up in their late teens, early 20s, I think that they do that. At least I see it. They do that more often. I'm not, anything that's going to numb you, I think is also something you need to eradicate. I would love to see my sons get away from that shit, and I can only show that to them by the way that I live my life, by example. So don't numb yourself. Eat whole, healthy foods and expect to be imperfect. And accept your imperfection. Accept expect that you're going to make mistakes, expect that you're going to fail, and don't be afraid of it. We spend so much time avoiding pain. We need to learn how to deal with it. All of us will suffer in life. We will all get sick. We'll all die. People around us will die. People we love will die. And that's difficult. It's ugly and it's suffering, but we can't avoid it. And as long as we have faith and we have a strong belief in ourselves, because of our faith, we can move through it. And we can learn from it. And then in that sense, there'll be no regrets. So, a lot of sleep, eat well, don't drink, don't numb yourself, and accept the fact that you're going to fail and you're going to make mistakes, and, pick up and move forward. Get on with it. Don't become complacent. All those things. Maybe it sounds, I sound like a self-help guru on Instagram, but man, it's the truth. It's the truth. I think really accepting the fact that you're imperfect is important. Accepting the fact that you're going to fail is also important. And being gentle on yourself and being gentle on others and forgiving of yourself and forgiving of others is important too.
You've talked about, and it's very clear that your relationship with God is very important, and even the idea of being on a spiritual journey. And I think in life, to get to that place where your basic needs are taken care of and you have the creative ability to even dedicate more time to more spiritual pursuits is very interesting. Were you always very religious and spiritual? Was this something that you found a little bit later in life? And as you see it, is this a contributing factor in something that works into your trading because there's no separation of how it fits into your life? Or do you not so much attribute spirituality to decisions that you're making on the screens?
That second part of your question, I think, is a very interesting and complicated answer. But I grew up in a very religious Catholic house. I'm still a Roman Catholic and believe in a God greater than me, and so that's always been a part of my life. I started at the Merc in 1989 as a runner after high school, and I was making like $1,000 a week. on my way to get my membership to become a broker, but I had a nagging feeling that God had meant something greater than that for me. So I thought maybe it would be the priesthood. So I went and spent 3.5 years studying to be a priest, trying to be celibate. That shit wasn't for me. I had, a quick little stupid story, but anytime we broke celibacy, I had to go down and tell the rector about it before Sunday Mass. I was down there every Sunday. Door open or door closed, man, he would say. Maybe door closed again, Father. And he would just kind of chuckle and, we'd go into confession. So anyway, that was important to me. And I came out of the seminary, got my old job back. And within 1.5 years, I was married and trading, had a baby, and another 6 months, I was rich. So a lot of changes, a lot of real quick. And I wasn't equipped to deal with those changes that fast. I just wasn't mature enough. I wasn't equipped for it. So I was always faithful, and I always believed, but I wasn't growing in my belief until after, really until I think after I completely blew up. Then I had to really, I had to take a real hard look at myself and who I am. And, like Job, I was sitting on top of my pile of dung, and I had to learn how to accept it and to be grateful for it. Once I was able to do that, and then I was able to grow in every aspect of my life, my marriage, and my faith, and my belief in a God that loved me in spite of my shortcomings and myself, flowered, and my relationship with my wife as a result flowered, and I became a better father, I believe, as a result of that. And then I became profitable again, and I started to be able to pay my bills and feed my family and excel beyond all of that. So my faith is very, very important to me. And it, I say this to the traders in my group, it's very important. My ego will kill me and will destroy my career, and it'll kill me in life. But if I believe that there is a God and I'm not it, then my ego is that, there is a God, and I'm not it, meaning that, I don't believe in predestination, but we all have free will, and we make mistakes, and people fuck up, and the world is full of evil. But if I am loved, and I have love, and I give love, then I can be okay through it all, and my ego is diminished, and love ultimately rules. Love with the capital L, which is another word for God, and then love for my wife, and love for my family, and love, everything else is secondary, or third, or fourth or fifth on the list. I can't, Corbs, I can't express to you the how all of that manifested itself May 17th. On, when I woke up and almost died in the afternoon. The night before, I had a great workout, and I did a ultra fit class at Lifetime, and I blew through it. I felt like a priest, prophet, and king. I could bench press 295 pounds 3 times, working my way up to 315, and that was my goal. And the next day, I was almost dead. I wasn't thinking about my cars or my houses or my money or my watches. Like I said earlier, I was thinking about my family. I was thinking about God, and I was thinking about my family, and I was at peace. It wasn't my time. I'm still here. It wasn't my time. Man, there's a real thin line. It's a real thin line. And I was right up at that line, and I was okay with it.
Very good. I'll turn it over to you to give the last word, but just as a way of wrapping this up and closing, I really appreciate just the candor and the openness. Your story we've heard about already. If everybody's listening to this, we have a previous episode where we talk more about your journey, and it's fascinating. And it's fascinating that you're here now to talk of the things that you've gone through, and the things that a lot of people on a similar path maybe
would have been wiped out and gone. But the fact that you've, lived through these things and you're still here and still sharing, it's incredible and fascinating story, fascinating journey. And I really appreciate taking the time out and being here and just sharing. And it was I enjoyed this thoroughly. And you said so many things that struck chords with me. And I know from people that'll be listening. As a way of, please say whatever you'd like for the last word. And then if anybody who's listening to this potentially doesn't know you, wants to find out more, is interested in joining your group, where can they go to be a part of that and find out more?
You can follow me on Twitter at PAX Trader, PAX Trader 777. PAX, the blue thing in the corner over there was my trading badge at the Merc, and PAX means peace in Latin. So everybody else on the floor chose, like their initials or, a derivative of their name. But, my initials were gone. My name, Matt, was gone. So I chose something that meant something and that would embody who I was, which is peace. And that stuck. So everybody continues to call me that. And I keep that up there so that everybody knows, just in front of the statue of the Blessed Mother and the crucifix behind me. So anyway, you can find me at PAX Trader 777 on Twitter. If the trading group that I have is, I think, unique and different from anything else on out there. We really are a family of people. It's small. I don't market it. I don't sell it. I don't try to do any of that shit because I don't want 1,000 people in there, 500 people in there. I wouldn't mind the money, of course, but I don't want that. I have a very close-knit group of traders that at the end of the day, I say the same things all the time. Sleep with the angels and the saints, and nobody fights alone. That's how I close every single day. Trading is not a team sport. I can't help somebody click the mouse or help somebody not click the mouse. It is very, very personal. It is very, very difficult to do long term, but it is possible. It is. If I didn't blow, if there were, right, woulda, coulda, shoulda. If there were a few things that had happened differently, January 1st, 2001, if I didn't go to work that year, I'd have made 30 million and nobody would know my name. If I didn't blow up in 2013 or 2011 and 12, if that didn't happen in 2012, again, nobody would know my name. I wouldn't be here. The last 10 years I've been rebuilding, and then all of this happened organically by the grace of God and the Holy Spirit, the guidance of the Holy Spirit. All of this happened, right? So I don't know. This is a difficult journey. It's not a team sport. Trading is not a team sport, but I think it's difficult to walk it alone, and so I bring that spirit every day to my group. And also we trade the same process. I'm not putting technical awareness. I'm not putting technical analysis charts out there I don't make market calls. Anybody that follows me on Twitter is not going to see me say, we're going lower, we're going higher, we're going to buy a dip or sell a rip. We don't do shit like that. We do the same thing all the time. If that's something that you're interested in, then, come in for a few days. I don't know. The last word is, this is incredibly difficult, but the freedom that it offers, the trading offers, and my journey has been worth it every step of the way. I really don't regret much or anything. It is possible to be and remain a long-term profitable trader, to become and to remain a long-term profitable trader. It is possible. The journey's worth it. Don't give up. If you're break even, don't give up. If you're getting killed, stop. It's, might not be for you. If you're breaking even, figure it out. It's worth it. Oh God, it's worth it. Well, this is the greatest business in the world. I love it. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else.